So where's Bailey and Luke?
Told the Chinese lady was.
So President Trump just drew a red line. Iran must start allowing ships through the Strait of Hormuz, or we're going to hit their oil infrastructure, a move that would immediately send shockwaves through the global economy. Now, personally, I don't think Iran is even slightly considering opening the strait voluntarily, which is why President Trump last night ordered a significant military strike on Harg Island. Now, the closure of the Strait of Hormuz is a strategic advantage, one of the few, if not the only, strategic advantage that Iran has over the United States and our Gulf allies. So I think it's going to take a lot more than even last night's significant raid to get Iran to give that up. Now, U.S. Central Command put out a note saying last night U.S. forces executed a large-scale precision strike on Harg Island. The strike destroyed naval mine storage facilities, missile storage bunkers, and multiple other military sites. And this is footage from those strikes that I'm playing here. They say the U.S. forces successfully struck more than 90 Iranian military targets on the island while preserving oil infrastructure. And to give you an idea of where this is located, we've got our fancy Google Earth here. Zooming in to Iran here in the northern portion of the screen. This is the Strait of Hormuz right here. This little elbow bend, so very narrow, and you can see the ships would need to slow down to be able to make that turn. Very vulnerable if Iran wanted to keep this closed, as they have right now. There's a couple Iranian ships went through earlier today, or excuse me, a couple Indian ships. Iranian ships are still making the transit, but everyone else is clogged up on both sides, not moving through. Harg Island is in the northern portion of the Persian Gulf up here. So Harg, prior to this conflict, roughly 90% of Iran's oil exports moved through this island, through a storage facility here. So it's critical. It's a strategic aspect of the Iranian economy and of the Iranian oil economy specifically. That's what the United States hit last night. The argument now being, is that more important to Iran than the advantage they have by closing the Strait of Hormuz? President Trump, when addressing the strike last night, said, quote, "Our weapons are the most powerful and sophisticated that the world has ever known, but for reasons of decency, I have chosen not to wipe out oil infrastructure on the island. However, should Iran, or anyone else, do anything to interfere with the free and safe passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, I will immediately reconsider this decision." Hard to tell as of this morning if anything has changed. From what I can see, no ships have taken that on and said, well, I guess we're going to go for it. And from Iran, there's not been any official statements about the opening of the strait or that they are no longer going to be targeting commercial vessels. So as we sit here recording right now, it seems like no change at all. But that is the red line that President Trump laid out. Open the Strait of Hormuz, or else we are going after your oil infrastructure. That hasn't really happened so far. Israel a couple days ago carried out pretty significant strikes against some storage facilities and refining facilities in Iran. But the large-scale destruction of the Iranian oil infrastructure would be a significant event for the global economy. A lot of what we've seen right now have been disruptions, short to medium-term disruptions. When we start wiping their oil infrastructure off the face of the map, you're talking about very long-term, significant repercussions. Now, President Trump says Iran has no ability to defend anything that we want to attack. There is nothing they can do about it. Iran's military and all others involved with this terrorist regime would be wise to lay down their arms and surrender now. And that seems to be the approach that we're hearing from President Trump in recent days is do this thing or else we're going to bomb you harder. And this is where we get into, I just don't know if threatening to bomb Iran harder is going to get them to back down. They are already in a corner. From day one, they were backed into a corner. The United States and Israel, in the opening wave of strikes, killed a significant number of their leadership. I'm not sure they're worried about being bombed even more. Again, with this strategic advantage they have in the Strait of Hormuz. In fact, the only response we have from Iran at this point is saying that they're going after ports, docks, and hidden American locations inside the United Arab Emirates. In fact, they published a notification warning Emiratis and civilians at the Mina Jabal Ali port, the Khalifa port, and the Minas Al Fujairah port, excuse my pronunciation on those, to exit those areas, suggesting that they're going to come under significant fire later today. And that is one other consideration when we talk about the United States going after Harg Island. We say, CENTCOM and the president all says military infrastructure was the only thing that was hit. Iran is already presenting that as civilian infrastructure, oil infrastructure, and they are responding in kind, going after civilian and oil infrastructure. Now, in fairness, Iran's going to say what Iran's going to say, so I'm not sure how much we should take that into consideration, but just recognize that's the direction this is continuing to go. Iran's advantage that they have is their seeming, they don't care about going after oil refineries and hammering their Gulf partners on some of those more soft locations rather than U.S. military bases. Now, in terms of what this could mean and how this could play out, James Atkin put together what I think was a good summary here. He's a senior fellow at the Carnegie Endowment. He referred to this as compellence, saying Trump hopes the threat to strike oil facilities will coerce Iran into reopening the strait. Seems unlikely to work. That's James's assessment. I think it's pretty spot on. He says, most fundamentally, Iran's theory of victory is almost certainly to block the strait and force oil prices to rise, and it's working. Destruction of the oil facilities on Karg is a huge blow to Iran, but keeping the strait blocked is almost certainly more valuable. After all, this is a war of regime change. It's literally existential for the Iranian regime. To win, it has to inflict sufficient cost on the United States and Israel that it doesn't attempt something similar to this in the future. The value of achieving that goal to Tehran is significantly greater than the value of the oil infrastructure on Karg. I think they're probably right, and this would speak to why the strait was shut down immediately. When we talked about this in the lead up to the conflict, this is kind of the nuclear option, no pun intended, and for Iran to go there right out the gate.
Decrease in some of those harsh comments online.
Lola, can we address the elephant in the room? First up, would you want some water or are you carrying your own?
Oh, I think I'm fine. Yeah.
You're good? Okay,
Yeah.
great. So, there have been certain tweets, Lola, because you're in India right now. And you know what you've done, and let me say this, it's a feat. Because by the virtue of those tweets, you've done the impossible. You've got the left in India and the right in India come together and being uncomfortable with those tweets. So in that way, there's a lot to thank you because that rarely ever happens in India. But they've come together in the criticism, Lola, of some of your tweets earlier. You deleted most of them. On what you perceive is your image of India and Indians. Do you regret it? Because you deleted them, so that's why I ask you.
Well, Twitter deleted some of them. I had no choice but to delete some of them because Twitter actually locked my account, believe it or not. In the aftermath of that, they actually, restricted my account in December. This is what I'll say. I'm not going to apologize for my comments about the H-1B visa program because my job is to speak for Americans and to stand up for American interests. And our immigration laws have been exploited and abused, and our labor laws have also been exploited and abused. And I'm going to continue being an advocate and a fighter for American workers who are struggling to find employment because they're told they're not the best and the brightest in a field, right, in Silicon Valley and tech that is dominated by over 70% imported foreign labor, mostly from China and India. What I will say is that I shouldn't have said some of the things that I said in the other tweets, not about H-1B, and I apologize if my remarks offended people. And I'm here in India this week. I'm spending several days in India where I'm going to be, traveling the country. I'm very excited to be here. Everybody's been, very friendly. I'm very happy to be able to experience India myself. But I will say I don't have hatred in my heart for India or Hindu people. I'm an advocate for Hindus. I speak out against the brutality of Islam that has persecuted millions of Hindus around the world. And I don't come from a place of hatred. My comments come from a place of love for.
This. I just want to know. So what is
under the arrangements in the IEA, the exporters of oil like Norway and Canada, we don't have to have reserves.
My weaknesses up front. Okay, I like pizza, which is wrong. I like Donald Trump, which is increasingly hard to defend, but I do. And I don't anticipate any kind of personal tiff with Trump. I think he was.
I can't even believe what I'm hearing. I see Patrick Casey. He goes, Tucker Carlson.
The most poetic story ever told. It's not an anime story. Look at your life.
It means that they really were viewing this as a regime change conflict. So, the status of the Iranian economy is probably not the top, second, or maybe even third consideration of the senior officials making these decisions right now. It's their survival. They'll deal with the economic repercussions later. If the regime survives, that's something they'll have to deal with. Now, in yesterday's video, we talked about what the roughly 2,200 Marines heading to the Middle East, set to arrive in the next week or two, could be doing when they get there. One of those now getting more attention is the idea that Marines could be used to take over Harg Island. I think that's very unlikely for a couple reasons. It's still a pretty significant operation to get the Marines in there, to take it and to hold it. And there's just no real value in doing that. Like, yes, technically, maybe on a piece of paper, you could say now we have all of the Iranian oil exports, but holding that island right off the coast of Iran, I mean, not quite in small arms range, but certainly in small drone and short-range rocket range, would be very challenging to keep that open, and we just don't accomplish very much doing that. Iran would probably just stop shipping oil rather than ship it through a U.S.-held facility. I did hear a pretty good assessment yesterday that Torsten Heinrich and Sal over at What's Going On in Shipping shot me a note and said, hey, I think those Marines are probably going to be used for seizing Iranian oil vessels that do make it through the Strait of Hormuz. And I think they're probably pretty accurate with that. So I'll stick with the likelihood that they're reinforcing bases in the Middle East, a couple areas, specifically Iraq, maybe Syria, but also keep an eye out for them to be used to seize some of those Iranian ships that are making it through the Strait, try to exert a little more pressure on Iran to actually open this corridor. Now, wrapping up here with James Acton, he says the U.S. faces two credibility challenges. First, given Iranian oil is reaching the international market, destroying the facilities on Karg will put upwards pressure on oil prices, which is clearly not in Trump's interest. Tehran may gamble, therefore, that if it keeps the strait closed, the United States won't follow through on its threat. This is a challenge anytime we draw a red line. And it's interesting to see a couple times that Trump has drawn these red lines. I mean, remember, one is with the protesters, and we just kind of came and went with that one. You could argue that this is now part of that, but I should mention that nobody in the administration and the president himself has not been talking about doing this because of the protesters. But they often look back at the Obama administration, the red lines in Syria, and say, what a mess, what a problem. We telegraphed what we were going to do, and then we didn't follow through on it, so we lost so much credibility. We're putting ourselves in that situation again here. It's not a crazy gamble for Iran to say, all right, hit the oil infrastructure. You're going to be the bad guys. The whole world is going to look at the United States and say, why are you the ones making this even worse? And we have heard a lot in the administration in recent weeks of short-term pain for long-term gain, but I think there's a limit to that, right? I don't know how much the gas price here in the United States would have to go up before that argument doesn't carry as much weight or doesn't have anywhere near the same degree of support. Acton, wrapping up here, says, finally, for compellence to work, Tehran must believe that if it reopens the strait, the U.S. will not attack oil infrastructure. But if Tehran judges Trump's threats as credible, it's quite likely they'll conclude he'll go after the oil infrastructure anyways. Again, we've talked about this in a couple of videos. We seem to be getting further and further in here with no clear end state and no clear way to step back without ceding some demands possibly to Iran. So from Iran's perspective right now, if they say we unblock the strait, we lose our strategic advantage. If we don't unblock the strait, you hit our oil infrastructure. If they are considering that Trump is probably going to continue to go after more and more targets no matter what. I mean, what's the next thing, right? This is the straight. Maybe next it's give up all of your nuclear material or we hit your oil infrastructure. Give up all of your missile production sites or we hit your oil infrastructure. Hold democratic elections or we hit your oil infrastructure. So if they believe that Trump is going to do that anyways or threaten that down the road anyways, which seems likely at this point, right? They're less likely to go along with that now and view it as really a credible, immediate threat. So in a lot of ways, we just laid out a pretty significant red line that we will know, I mean, within the next few hours, certainly within the next day, if Iran is taking that seriously and if that's going to be an option for the United States to force open the Strait of Hormuz. But that's all we got for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.
Big box. It's a keyboard. Wait. Chat. Wait. This is not fan mail. This is the keyboard I ordered. This is the keyboard Zoink told me to get. He said this is the best keyboard for Geometry Dash. The Wooting. Whoa. Chat, this is the keyboard. Big.
Okay, so remember how I said that I wasn't gonna buff Orbit to a potential top 5? I lied. And I deeply am sorry for my actions. I did not intend for it to go there. However, that's life. Okay, so remember how I said
Trump was talking about how he's woke on Iran.
I was a bit shocked too. Like, everyone else in the world was like, this is the greatest thing, and I think what you're doing is phenomenal. And I was shocked that so many activists, like, in America didn't like it, but meanwhile they're like, oh, well, we support women. We want women to have.
Jake, you don't support women. Like, what are you talking about? It's so funny that these guys are doing like, oh, we're bombing Iran, but wokely. We're bombing Iran into woke. Who is this fucking for, man? Does this even work for anybody at this point? You gotta have the same level of CTE that Jake Paul has to listen to Jake Paul go, yeah, we're bombing Iran because they're not woke. They hate the gays. Like, you have to have the same exact level of CTE and brain damage to be like, yeah, that makes sense, actually.
You're liberating the women of Iran, and
yeah, from their fucking bodies, dude, from their lives, from their livelihood.
I think I have tremendous support on this. This is something that's been incredible.
You don't. Trump was talking about how he's woke on Iran.
I was a bit shocked too. Like, everyone else in the world was like, this is the greatest thing, and I think what you're doing is phenomenal. And I was shocked that so many activists, like, in America didn't like it, but meanwhile they're like, oh, well, we support women. We want women to have.
Jake, you don't support women. Like, what are you talking about? It's so funny that these guys are doing like, oh, we're bombing Iran, but wokely. We're bombing Iran into woke. Who is this fucking for, man? Does this even work for anybody at this point? You gotta have the same level of CTE that Jake Paul has to listen to Jake Paul go, yeah, we're bombing Iran because they're not woke. They hate the gays. Like, you have to have the same exact level of CTE and brain damage to be like, yeah, that makes sense, actually.
Meanwhile, you're liberating the women of Iran, and
yeah, from their fucking bodies, dude, from their lives, from their livelihood.
I think I have tremendous support.
One day we're riding around, we pull up to the Serbian border, there's a great big sign. sign that says Serbia, do not enter. So we pull up there and we're sitting there eating chow in front of the Humvee. And all of a sudden somebody looks over and goes, "Is that a machine gun nest on the side of the mountain?"
All right, boys. What?
She's completely right about this.
Another thing I've noticed about younger people online is there is constantly a morality contest going on.
We are one step closer to a potential war in Iran. Do you think that this is it?
I don't think this is going to be the big one. I think the war that I'm referring to is like going to be internally. The war with Iran, that's been preached about, talked about. We've been wanting that war since, I can remember. I know for sure when I was in, let's say as far back as like the 90s, back when Benjamin Netanyahu was preaching about them having a nuclear weapon. This was like back in the 90s, and it's been a regurgitated speaking point when it comes to him and Iran and how we should get involved with Iran. I'm good on Iran. I'm good on sending U.S. troops anywhere. Like, what is Iran? Seriously, what have they done to us? They haven't done anything significant to us that would like warrant thousands of U.S. troops to go over there and get potentially killed. If somebody else has a problem with it, then I think they should deal with it. We always get drawn up and drawn back into these pointless, endless, stupid wars for no reason, and then wonder why we're like 36 trillion, whatever it is, astronomical. Number that we are in debt.
We are one step closer to a potential war.
You will automatically be charged $300, and you will have to explain to your family what you did.
I have all four of them. Here, take.
Why don't we use things like CWIS to take out drones? CWIS, or the Close-In Weapon System, is a 20mm Navy cannon that's used to take out missiles that are getting close to a ship. There is an Army equivalent. It's called the CRAM, or Counter Rocket Mortar and Artillery. The problem with CWIS, and to a further extent CRAM, is that the range is extremely limited. For CRAM, it's about a mile. If you let a drone get within a mile of your position, you're already in a lot of trouble. It's useful for a last-ditch effort, but it doesn't cover a lot of areas, so you tend to only use the CRAM to cover really important areas. So ideally, you want to stop the drone as far away as possible from the place it might attack. And by the time you're using a tool like CRAM, it's already too late. Why don't we use things like CWIS to take out drones? CWIS, or the Close-In Mile, for a real drone attack. And by the
CRAM stands for counter. Oh my god, there's no way I lost him. Oh my fucking god, dude. I ran out of bullets.
Why has Allah protected the UAE from so many missiles and attacks? As we know today, it's been reported that more than 1,000 missiles and drones have been trying to attack and destroy the UAE. Missiles were launched, threats were made, yet the country remains safe, stable, and protecting everybody doing their usual routine life daily life. Perhaps I say, one of the reasons is something the UAE is known for across the world: charity and helping others. This is the trait of the founder of the UAE, Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan. Allah Azza wa Jalla. وَمَا تُنْفِقُوا مِنْ خَيْرٍ فَلِأَنفُسِكُمْ. And whatever you spend of good, it is for yourselves. And Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in the hadith, صَنَائِعُ الْمَعْرُوفِ صَنَائِعُ الْمَعْرُوفِ تَقِي مَصَارِعَ السُّوءِ. Acts of charity and kindness protect from evil calamities. This hadith teaches us that charity can be means of prevention. Allah protects a person or even a nation from calamities before they occur. And Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in another hadith, دَاوُوا مَرْضَاكُمْ بِالصَّدَقَةِ. Treat your sick through charity. This shows another meaning. When hardship has already occurred, charity becomes a means through which Allah pushes away the harm and raises the difficulty. So charity has two great effects. It prevents calamities before they happen and it pushes away hardship when it occurs. And the UAE today is known to be one of the world's leading nations in humanitarian aid and philanthropy, providing tens of billions of dollars in aid and supporting projects in more than 100 countries: hospitals, schools, food aid, refugee relief, disaster response. This spirit comes from the legacy of our father and the founder of the UAE, Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan, Allah mercy on his soul, who taught the nation simple principle: always give, always help others. And the legacy continues under the leadership of his son Hamad bin Zayed as the UAE continues to extend aid and mercy to people across the world. And final message to the people of the UAE and Muslims everywhere: never underestimate the power of charity. Keep giving, keep helping others. Perhaps Allah will prevent hardship and harm from reaching you. And if you're already facing hardship or difficulty, perhaps through charity, Allah will lift it from you and replace it with ease. That's Allah will protect the UAE, its leaders and its people, and to preserve the security and safety and goodness.
She's a big porn star. She's been in the game for forever. I fuck with that. No, I'm saying, no, you make fun of this like this. She will really show you what's cracking, bro. Yeah? Oh, yeah. You got a number? She's in an actual serious relationship and probably doesn't want to fuck a 21-year-old weird ass, but. Okay, grandpa. I don't know. She's hot. I didn't fuck with my lawyer, bitch. Oh, wait, now I got it in my head. Like, oh, actually, like, all like the most famous.
You're wrong with 3-1, he's attacking its own civilians.
No.
You attacked the plane.
Yes.
Master Robot, you're wrong with 3-1, he's attacking its own civilians.
No.
You attacked the plane.
Yes.
Fortnite has just added a bunch of mythics and has changed the map in a ton of ways. The nuclear power plant is now entirely covered in low gravity, which is kind of annoying if you're actually rotating through there. However, if you fly during the stacks, you can now go up to around 600 to 700 meters. Why are macros becoming such a huge problem in Fortnite? When opening a chest, the player opening the chest is actually usually at a disadvantage because opponents can pickaxe the player who is opening it and then grab the loot for themselves. There are 5 items that spawn from a chest. There's a weapon, the ammo, materials, a consumable, and a 50% chance of getting some gold. Players are obviously after the weapon since that's what they can use to eliminate the player that's contesting them. However, these don't consistently spawn in any one place. For example, the weapon doesn't always land on the left or the right when it comes out of the chest.
Could Iran obliterate Israel with its remaining stockpile of missiles? Let's do the math. Iran has maybe 1,500 to 2,000 ballistic missiles remaining of various range and power. So it's kind of hard to estimate, but you can assume that those missiles have warheads of between 1,000 and maybe 4,000 pounds. Let's take the high end. Let's say each missile has a 4,000-pound warhead. They don't, but let's just say it for this math equation. That means 4,000 tons at the most. During World War II, the Allies dropped between 1,000 and 4,000 tons of bombs on Germany in every raid. And the Germans would come into work the next day, look at the rubble and go, alles klar, and start rebuilding. But every missile needs a launcher. Iran maybe has about 100 or so launchers left. Not every launcher is compatible with every single missile. And every time you launch a missile, you have to move. Because if you launch from the same place twice, we will find you and we will blow you up. So that increases the complexity of launching missiles. Not only do you have to move the launchers and all the logistics involved in the team that launches these missiles, you also have to move the missiles along with them, set them up, fire them, and move again. Imagine doing that all day. Okay, what about drones? Could Iran send 10,000 Shahed drones? I mean, maybe we're talking about a 110-pound warhead. So what kind of explosion does that make? Look at this explosion. That's so cute. So let's say Iran fired 10,000 Shahed drones at Israel. Would that obliterate Israel? Well, 10,000 drones, we're talking about a total of 550 or so tons. That's about half of what was sent on an average night into Germany during World War II. Israel's gonna wake up and go, yeah, beseder, and they'll be fine. Are people gonna get hurt? Yeah. Is it gonna suck if you're one of those people or their families? Yeah. Is infrastructure gonna get destroyed? Yeah. But ultimately, at the end of the day, life's gonna go on. So no, the mullahs of Iran are not going going to obliterate anyone but themselves. They brought themselves to this point, and now they shall reap the whirlwind of the Iranian people. Could Iran obliterate Israel with its remaining stockpile of missiles? Let's do the math. Iran has maybe 1,500 to 2,000 ballistic missiles remaining of various range and power. So it's kind of hard to estimate, but you can assume that those missiles have war.
Probably like the coolest sniper that.
I'll definitely donate to the cause for sure.
What about 5Gs?
Yeah, that's light. I mean, I would say at least 10.
Oh, okay. Well, then at least, then can we get a 15? 15 grand?
We'll get a 15 grand in there. We'll get a 15
grand. Okay, hey, donate it live on stream. That 15 grand I just got us. Does that even make a dent?
I'll definitely donate to the cause for sure.
What about 5Gs?
Yeah, that's light. I mean, I would say at least 10.
Oh, okay. Well, then at least, then can we get a 15? 15 grand?
We'll get a 15 grand in there. We'll get a 15
grand. Okay, hey, donate it live on stream. That 15 grand I just got us. Does that even make a dent?
I'll definitely donate to the cause for sure.
What about 5Gs?
Yeah, that's light. I mean, I would say at least 10.
Oh, okay. Well, then at least, then can we get a 15? 15 grand?
We'll get a 15.
Make a list of levels to progress from Deadlocked to Bloodbath. Once you beat Deadlocked, I would say you're ready for medium demons, so I would start out with B, because it's a great all-around introduction to the difficulty. After B, I would do Ultraviolence to get used to learning gameplay. Then finally, I would do Hell to get good at Wave and Ship, and to transition into Hard Demons. For your first Hard Demon, the choice is easy, 9 circles, because it's crucial to be good at the Wave. Then, do Future Funk for nerve control, and Crazy to get used to flowy gameplay with some fast clicking. For a first Insane Demon, Magma Bound is an awesome choice, and it'll help you practice even more high CPS. Then, I would do Liak to get used to memory gameplay, and then finally Acropolis to make sure you have timings down, and bridge the gap to Extreme Demons. For a first Extreme, Aki was an all-around great pick. After that,
Patrick Bet David, I recently saw he's like trying to copy your lectures a little bit, maybe you didn't see.
Americans will always get triggered when I say this, but it's true. White is a very American concept. Like when you go to Europe, these people see ethnicity like they have being like race X-ray goggles on. Okay, they can tell like who's fucking German, who's Russian, who's like Serbian, who like all, they see all of the colors of the ethnic spectrum on the white thing. Whereas in America, like we're like, oh cool, like white people, like we're all white, and people assume that like, well, if we could get rid of certain groups in the United States, like we'll have so much more ethnic homogeneity. And it's like, bro, you go to places like Yugoslavia, right, and everybody hates everybody that lives next to them.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, the idea that people would just get rid of, if we just got rid of this one color to people, you would start seeing colors that you didn't even know existed before.
Right.
There's a concept called bigotry of small differences. Like sometimes there are people next to you, they're almost the same as you, but they're slightly different. You hate them more than the people that are totally ideologically opposed to you. Like people will always divide on certain characteristics and see us versus them and all of that. And if you think that that would go away just because you're in an all-white society, you need to
Buddy of mine sent me a clip. Apparently the dev of this...
Andrew, if every interview, every video, every tweet you've ever made was erased from the internet forever, and all you had was 3 minutes, what one truth would you share with the world?
You know, truthfully, amongst all the shit I've seen and all the shit I know, I've only ever pushed one message, and it's the message that I've come to.
Transgender core. We have Italy, Brazil. Now, isn't it ironic that the top 11 countries watching the most trans porn are predominantly Christian?
No, it's not actually. It's not. In fact, my dad, when he was watching the internet, he used to work in a very Jewish and on there was an XXX video store. There was everyone knows that has been in such a source. There's two sections, right? There's regular people for expressing their sexuality. People that's not or whatever. They're going to act out basically with the one.
So, Forntie core, these are the top countries.
Where are you from? Are you from Palestine?
I'm a professional debater. Are you Palestinian?
Yes.
We're from
Ramallah.
Ramallah. I believe you're Palestinian.
Oh my god.
I believe you're from Palestine.
Okay. I've never set foot in Palestine.
I believe that.
Okay, I've set foot in Palestine multiple times. These are things I don't have to prove to you. These are things I don't have to tell you 2 years ago.
Oh my fucking god. phone.
We have a method used to build a durable pathway. First, cement is poured in.
Girl of the day. You have the inverse of that, right? Like bang 100 chicks. And like, there's no way. Maybe I'll do a couple of those throughout the day. Maybe I'll save all of it at the end.
Maybe say 10 times.
Well, so I was thinking, like, so even if you give each girl 5 minutes, that means it's going to take you an hour to get, let's say, 10. Like, whatever the time between whatever, like, switching to the next one's like 10 girls in an hour. So you got to do 10 hours straight. Realistically, if you got some breaks to eat shit, go to the bathroom, whatever. You're talking like 12 to 14 hours of just pure fucking.
That sounds like the worst idea I've ever heard.
I'm only really doing it for the viral potential. You know?
That's actually banger viral clip right there.
And every girl could be like potential hilarious moments. Like some girls like what do you do? What do you do, bro? And let's go. What do you do? What do you do, bro?
What do you do for a living? What do you do? Thank you. Yo, what do you do for a living, bro?
Man, sell a lot of pizza.
Let's go.
A lot of pizza.
Yo, Lando, what do you do for a living? Nothing? You sleep? Yo, excuse me, what do you do for a living?
What's that?
What do you do for a living?
I'm an investor.
What's your name?
Kevin O'Leary.
Yo, excuse me, bro, what do you do for a living?
I make music.
You make music? What's your name?
My name is Destroy Lonely.
What do you do for a living, bro? What do you do for a living?
What do I do for a living? I'm a father.
You're a father? That's beautiful, man.
I'm a father of 2 beautiful boys and a beautiful wife. That's what I do. I make sure I take care of my family.
Excuse me, bro, what do you do for a living?
I stream and play video games.
Okay, what's your name?
Yeah, I'm Tyler.
Gordon, what do you do for a living? Excuse me, bro, what do you do for a living? What do you do for a living?
Me?
Yeah.
I rock BMX bikes.
Okay, what's your name? Yo, excuse me, bro, what do you do for a living?
I do music.
What's your name?
Roddy Ricks.
What do you do for a living, bro? Good job. Yo, Patrick, what do you do for a living?
We know that Iran has elected a new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei. He has not been seen yet in public, though he did issue a statement yesterday. I'm sure you've heard the comments from the U.S. Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, who has said that he claimed the supreme leader is wounded and likely disfigured. What is the status of the supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei?
Well, they have made so many claims like this. Yesterday they said that all the Iranian authorities are in bunkers, but at the same time, the whole world saw.
you see anything feels broke away, pull it out of your...
Hold up, shorty, hold up, bitch. Please don't touch me. Look at my feet.
Hey, Myron. Myron said me and my brother will go with you one day. Yeah, Myron.
Leon saying he's gonna come to
What is going on? What is going on? All right. Oh, give me the gun. Oh, you got the... Yeah, yeah. And you hold it.